Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast is...
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Hello, everybody! Thirsty Thursday once again, and that means it's time for the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. We're going to break a little kayfabe tonight. We're not going to talk so much about the wrestlings. We're going to talk about some other stuff because, well, it's kind of been a slow week wrestling-wise. We might talk some wrestling, but, we might talk some other things. Before we get started, let me introduce you to this rabble that I had to hang out with on a Thursday night. I'm Ransom the Madman. I am joined by Poot the Bard. I'm joined by Tiger Bomb Tom. And since in the most recent past, Poot the Bard has been late and has gotten a nice fancy intro when he arrived, Tiger Bomb Tom has been late and gotten a nice fancy intro when he's arrived, the one fella that hasn't is a gentleman that has always been on time. Therefore, we've never had to stop an episode of the podcast to give him an illustrious introduction. But I've decided I'm going to do that tonight. Even though he's not late, he's still on time. But you know what? He's due. He's due for one. His comeuppance has come. And it's time. It's time that he get his. So everybody strap in for this introduction. You've heard from me. You've heard about Poot. You've heard about Tom. Last but not least, the P3's beast from the East. Hailing from the glowing sea of the wrestling world, the legendary Beef Claw himself, the Dovahkiin of WrestleMania, Beef the Legend.
Oh, that...
I need all of that. Like, I just need that clipped, and I'm just going to use that as my ringtone from now on.
I can absolutely do that.
Dovahkiin of WrestleMania, I'll take that shit.
The Dovahkiin.
I feel bad that I've been able to give Tom and Poot nice, big, fat, illustrious introductions when they show up, but Beef's always on time, like a proper gentleman, and he never gets one of those. So I figured, you know what? Beef needs one of those, and he's going to get his.
Well,
Beef appreciates that.
He certainly got his. That was an excellent intro.
That was a wonderful intro.
Since you said it was Thirsty Thursday, anybody else? Anybody else?
Yep. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Let me see if this will register. Hold on.
I think I have a dogfish head in the back.
There it is.
I'm walking laps, so all I have is a bottle of water. I got nothing.
A poot fish head. I have a poot fish head in the fridge.
You have a poot. Oh yeah, that's right. Every time I go over to Beef's for WrestleMania or just a general weekend for jocularity, I always inevitably end up not drinking all the beers that I bring. So when I go down there, like presumably in a couple months, Beef will be like, "Hey man, you still got beer in the fridge?" I'm like, "What? I do." And then I open it up and it's like a little treasure trove. But right now, this right here, since as of the day of this recording, tomorrow will be my last day at my current job.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hooray!
Last day at my current job. So today, fella who records our weekend show, his name's Dennis. He's awesome guy. He drops the show off that he recorded, and he came in and he had a brown paper bag, and I was like, "What?" And he gave it to me. He said, "Here you go, brother. Congrats on the new job, and we're gonna miss you, and I'm gonna miss you, and everything." And I opened it up, and it was Jim Beam Double Oak.
Yeah, buddy.
Or Twice Oaked, I think is what it's called. Where's the bottle? Hold on, I have the bottle right here. Let me see. What's it called?
Where's the damn camera?
Jim Beam Double Oaked. It's twice barreled in two different things. So I decided tonight, since we were breaking kayfabe in the lounge, I'm having it over some ice. And I'm not usually one for like Jim Beam or Jack Daniels or anything, but I'll tell you what, this is it's mighty tasty.
I'm not much of a liquor guy myself. If I'm gonna have some Jim Beam or some Jack Daniels, it's got to be in a shot. But tonight, last week, whatever it was, the last time I had a drink, I finished off that what was it that you
cider?
brought down in the cans?
Oh no, Yingling Flight.
Yeah, Yingling Flight.
Yeah.
I finished that off. No, but now I do. Now I do have the bottle of cider here. So
There you go.
yeah, so a nice little Mackenzie's black cherry hard cider. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds delicious.
That does
It is,
sound
yeah.
good.
it really is.
We have some wine, some very tasty fucking fruity wine. I might have a glass of that.
You know,
There you go.
Included.
Speaking of tasty fruity wine, so after Dennis left this morning, our sports guy named Bear Stewart, he stopped by, and first of all, he brought me. I got to pretend I was a hobbit today. I got to have second breakfast.
Nice.
He brought second breakfast, and then his wife gave me a bottle of very fruity blush wine, which I am normally a dry red kind of guy, but I was like,
flip flop.
and the
can't
thing
do
is, it is chilled though. So like I put it on and I'm like, okay, I'll open that up eventually. But then Bear said, I also got you, and handed me a 12-pack of Michelob Ultra. So
That's so Bear.
Dude.
That is so Bear.
yeah, like it's
Here's a 6-pack of beer. Congratulations.
and that's the thing. So I showed up at work and had 0 alcohols, and I left work with collectively 14 alcohols.
There you go.
So and it was it was really nice to kind of have that. So it was good. It was a nice, pleasant surprise. So
Now the burning question is did the bosses get you any parting gift yet?
I don't. Well, no.
They got him a handshake, which is more than I thought they'd get him. So.
Easy. The owner of the station actually is he just had surgery on his shoulder, and I got to see him yesterday, and then for a different procedure he's going out of town for the next 2 days. But I did get to see him. He told me he was proud of me. He told me it was a real kind of like, lifetime special moment. I don't know what they have going on tomorrow, but I just know that I'm sitting here vacillating between what I want my sign-off song to be. I was thinking, always look on the bright side of life. I thought that'd be funny. I was thinking Unchained by Van Halen. I thought that would be really funny too, just because.
What about Freebird?
Freebird would be great. I didn't even. That's a cliche, though. That's a cliche.
I think every job I've quit, I've rolled out of the parking lot listening to Freebird every single time. I know I did it when I worked security. I know I did it at Verizon, and I'm pretty sure I did it at Guardian too. So yeah,
I got one for you. What about something by Hellbent?
Well, if we had original songs, actually, we do have quite a bit of some of the stuff that we play. I was just trying to think of something that was goodbye-y, like or that would be funny, as a
bring in a cheese plate because it's all so cheesy.
Hey, listen, man. Whenever you're in radio, very rarely do you get the chance to like actually say goodbye. Usually they don't tell you, like my first radio job, I got laid off. They didn't tell me I was getting laid off until after my shift was over. So I didn't get to, and my sign off song at that job, it was a classic country station, was Clint Black's cover of Desperado. So that was my sign off song every day was Desperado. But I'm just kind of vacillating between some ideas, but we'll see. But very rarely do you get the chance to actually say like goodbye. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's just like you're gone. So
every time you say vacillating, I think oscillating like a fan. I just like picture you like sitting in the middle of a room, just turning like, damn near halfway around, but not the full halfway around because damn it, that's not what oscillating means.
Now see, every time you say vacillating, I hear Vaseline. So.
Well, yeah, I hear Vaseline and I picture Poot covering himself all greasy like, and as people try to say, Poot, let me shake your head. He's like, oh, can't touch this, and he just squeegees his way right out of it, like, see ya, bitches.
Like
you're never gonna catch me.
You're never gonna catch me. I'm absolutely greased up radio guy.
Down the hallway on his own greasy feet, just bitches.
I don't walk. I just slide, hands in pockets. No. So that's kind of in the world of Putin. And then also this weekend I have Hellbent gig. It's going to be a pretty big one, and then we have gigs booked all the way through August now because we're in demand. So that's what's going on in my life, guys. Starting a new job on my birthday, leaving my old job tomorrow. Hellbent's playing, and I got some good booze. Woo!
Well, now that we're done listening to the diatribe that is Poot, I do want to talk real quick one thing wrestling before we get into the
armbar
bullshit that is breaking.
Arm drag.
Family Cadizzle.
Shut up, Cadizzle. For shizzle, my no. Listen, Poot said something earlier tonight, the night of this recording, not the night that you're listening. People catch up. About Daniel Bryan and him kind of not wanting to be in that WrestleMania match, him wanting it just to be Edge and Roman Reigns. And, I can kind of see Daniel Bryan's line of thinking on that. Because I think we talked about that. Oh, pardon me. I think we talked about that at one point. Maybe when we were talking about picks or something, about how Daniel Bryan always seems to be an afterthought that's inserted into the WWE main event.
Yep.
Like the Yes Movement kind of forced that insertion into the main event the last time he was main eventing Mania. He just kind of seemed like, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, let's put Daniel Bryan in this match and make it a triple threat match for no reason whatsoever. So I can kind of see Daniel Bryan wanting to say, like, hey, man, no. Like, don't just throw me in here for, yucks and fucks.
Well,
why don't you program me in an actual match? And why can't we have Daniel Bryan get his own WrestleMania main event moment? Does the man of his talent and caliber not deserve a WrestleMania moment that he doesn't have to split between two other people? No. It kind of bugs me.
Well, and you're not wrong. I think we would all agree about the caliber of a Daniel Bryan and how popular he continues to be, even when he's a heel and people do boo him or they pipe in the boos. I think Daniel Bryan, like, coming back, like, apparently, I can't remember where the interview was, but he said, like, he had, like, an not out-of-body experience, but he felt very disconnected from that match. And normally when he's in a match, he's like 100% in that match, and he's enjoying it. This one, he said that, like, he had these, like, snap out moments where he's like, oh, okay, this is what, like, and it was almost like and that's kind of like the sign of, like, the joy is dying. You know what I mean? And that's a shame.
Yeah, the writing on the wall moment.
And that's a shame that he has that, because coming back from such a, like, from such a deficit with that injury that was, career ending.
Right.
And to come back to, effectively, like, a huge pop and people going, oh my God, Daniel Bryan's going to get his chance. And then he just kind of, not obscurity, that's not the right word, because he's been part of the WWE upper mid card and upper card scene. But like Ransom said, it's always an afterthought. And I think Daniel Bryan I also said in there that he's trying to also get them to knock down or open the forbidden door and let him work in WWE and other places.
Good fucking luck. That's all I'll say on that. That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, like, I would be, and this is where I really want to get Beef's take, because I feel like he always does very well in this subject line. But I struggle, even with WWE seemingly oftentimes using Daniel Bryan as an afterthought. And maybe that's just my way of seeing it. Maybe that's not actually the way it is. Even though they do that, I would be shocked if WWE let somebody like Daniel Bryan, somebody that they know, despite what they do, they know he can get over on his own. He doesn't need their help. He doesn't need the WWE machine. He did it already. And I think that they would be hesitant to let him go somewhere else to see how over he gets with other crowds, because if he sees that, like, oh, I went to AEW or Impact or New Japan or hell, Ring of Honor, and look at the pop that I got. Look at the reaction that I got. Why am I staying in WWE if I can go to these other places and have people ecstatic to see me. What do you think, Beef?
Well, so here's the ultimate bottom line with WWE, at least with Vince McMahon. I can't speak of Triple H because we don't know enough of what Triple H is about. Well, we do, and it's mostly good. But as far as Vince goes, though, if you are an established talent, I won't say doesn't care for, but he will attach the WWE milker to you and sap you for everything you got, leave you with nothing, and then claim that you weren't good enough. That's exactly that. That's the fucking CM Punk story 101. That's what I've seen of Daniel Bryan. I'm gonna mention Keith Lee's name again because it bears repeating. The bottom line is if the only guy who has had a credible career on the main roster of WWE after making himself on the indies, like a big name, I'm talking, not like, Edge and Christian, I'm talking like a big name in the indies, was AJ Styles. And one could argue that the bulk of his work came in Impact and New Japan, which aren't really indies.
Yeah.
So, honestly, as far as releasing him to the winds, I think it depends on the day of the week. Out of one side of their mouth, WWE is saying, well, we don't consider AEW competition. We don't have competition. And they're right. If we're being real, they're right. They don't have competition. They are WWE. They suck. Their programs are awful, but they don't have competition for those. That being said, sometimes they'll do weird things that make you think they're doing that deliberately to spite AEW, like moving NXT to USA on the same 2-hour time slot that AEW is debuting 2 months before their, or what? Not even 2 months. Like 3 weeks beforehand. It's just like, or keeping a certain wrestler, God rest his soul, under contract so he didn't go anywhere else. Like, it seriously is like it changes with the day of the week, whether AEW is something to worry about with Vince McMahon or not. That being said, Daniel Bryan could work wherever, do whatever. He could book, he could, be a general manager type. We've seen that. He did great with that. He could be a feature guy. He could be a tag team guy. He could be a damn commentator. And I don't think that that's lost on Vince. Here's the thing with Daniel Bryan. And I love him. I love Daniel Bryan. But to say that he wants to work WWE and these other places, or like, work like New Japan, Ring of Honor, wherever, is he's trying to have his feet in two different poles, man. Like, you either take WWE and you choose the money and the safety and the reliability that your family's taken care of, or you go live your dream. Pick a lane, boss.
Yeah, but see, I feel like I took it in a way that Daniel Bryan was trying to help foster the idea that, like, other companies are starting to work with each other. Other companies are starting to, at least collaborate in some sense. And Daniel Bryan's like, listen, you guys better catch up or get left behind. That's how I took it. I didn't take it as he's just not like picking between a rock and a hard place or whatever, But I
very moment is like the first time I'm hearing about it. I didn't read any stories. I didn't even catch the Fast Cow news. So this is like, oh, I didn't know he said that. And you're right. You're 100% right that he's very like wrestling forward with that kind of thing. So
and that's the thing with that whole kind of class. They all are, like, they're all very forward thinking and kind of on the cutting edge. And I think being in WWE can kind of hinder that. Not trying to be smart, not trying to be, just go like, oh, time to shit on WWE again. Like, I mean, it's just like,
it's formulaic.
yeah.
they have something that works. They have, you know, a 3-hour block on Monday, a 2-hour block on Friday. They make their merch sales. You know, they don't have to worry about pay-per-views because they sold the fucking WWE Network for a mint to Peacock. Like, they have TV deals out the wazoo. Yes, and I understand from a creative point of view, we can sit here and criticize them. But from a business point of view, shit, they're doing everything the right way. From a business point of view, if I'm a shareholder, a stockholder, if I'm Vince McMahon and I'm like, you know what? We're making, you know, hand over fist money. What do I care what like the internet fringe thinks? I'm making tons of money. I'm going to keep doing things my way. And yes, that may eventually bite them in the ass, but I get it, you know?
Very salient point.
I mean,
I have those sometimes.
I just, it's just sad because, man, I remember, and I know this is breaking kayfabe lounge, but wrestling is part of our lives. So I mean, like, it, you know, but like, that's kind of the thing is like, do you think it's by nature of the fact that like we've become, you know, using the term that apparently is now this taboo thing where we become smart marks and we become kind of cynical with that? Do you think that it like the reason why we look back on like, you know, the Attitude Era or other eras of wrestling and we look at it very dewy-eyed and through rose-colored glasses is because we were just kind of more innocent?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think now we can at least look back things a little bit more objectively. Like, you know, there were some pretty cool things about the Attitude Era, but we can also admit that there were some very, very cringy things about the Attitude Era. But I tend to agree with you on that. Like that part of it, you know, just us growing up and not knowing any better. But now I think on a different level, I feel like now as an adult, I can look at the business and still be a little dewy-eyed in a different light, more so now because I have a different level of respect for the business. Like, you know, it's like before it was just, you know, pure admiration because it's like these people are like larger than life personalities and sometimes, you know, physically larger than life too. But now it's also like it's not just admiration, it's a respect. It's a respect for what they do physically. It's a respect for the business itself. It's a respect for you know, just people putting in the work and putting in the time that they do, whether they're indie darlings that get to come up and, you know, slowly work their way up, or if there's somebody that for all intents and purposes, like take like a Charlotte Flair who, you know, didn't cut her teeth on the indies, but just had, you know, one of those people that just had a natural athletic ability that WWE saw and said, okay, you know, we'll do something with it. And she kind of got it. I mean, you know, it's in her blood, literally, you know. So, I mean, you know, some people were just able to adapt to that very quickly and not having to have those years and years and years of experience on the indies and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think it's just a different type of appreciation now. So when we sit here and we discuss all of our disappointment with it, it's because we have this different level of respect now. It's like, you know, it's not just, oh, well, the wrestler I didn't like didn't go over, now I'm mad. It's no, man, like this dude's been busting his ass and you're just shitting all over him. It's just the same as like when you see, you know, when you see a good coworker that, you know, it's like, oh man, you should have gotten that promotion. And they give it to the fucking jack off who, you know, doesn't do dick all for work, you know.
Yeah, failing up, man.
Yeah, it's just that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this, to Tom's point. You said something super, super smart, and that the Attitude Era wasn't all great. We look back and say, man, what a time.
Yeah.
Because our mind can like encapsulate the good, but forget about the bad. Like fucking Beaver Cleaver. Remember that? I remember Beaver Cleaver.
choppy pee pee.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, so here's my question.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we can all agree that WWE is a pretty flat shade of gray. It is like a matte color. It's not great, but a lot of times for the big events, it's not abysmal either. It's just kind of there. We watch it and we go, that was an okay pay-per-view. That was a good pay-per-view. It's not very often you come away from a pay-per-view going, man, that was, a pile of shit. But it's also not often you go, man, what a fucking show that was.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But in the Attitude Era, that was much more prevalent, where you had shows where like, man, what a great show. And also, man, what the fuck was that? Would you prefer the hot and cold? Now, obviously, with NXT, with AEW, we don't get a lot of cold. It's mostly just hot. But, follow the analogy. Would you prefer,
some like it hot and
some really good and some really bad? Or their current, 50-50 booking, like, very basic bland shit?
That's a really good question.
Well, I don't know. I feel like who usually makes a really good point on this, we're all kind of, blowing each other here tonight. Ransom, you usually make really good salient points on these kind of ideas. Which would you prefer? Like, you usually have pretty sound logic on this.
Well, that's a tough one.
While you're thinking about it, I guess you could almost ask that question about anything, really, if you think about it. Like, Poot, like, take your favorite band. Would you rather have that they put out like 2 really good albums and then like a shitty album and then like 2 really good albums again, or would you rather have them put out kind of like, sort of just okay albums? You know what I mean?
My 2 favorite bands are doing that right now. That would be Metallica and Dream Theater.
Putting out good albums and then shitty albums, or just meh?
Yeah, just kind of a whole big pile of meh right now. Like, and it's no offense to either one of them, and I'm sure that Beef and I can argue all day long about like Hardwired to Self-Destruct, but the thing is, the problem is usually it depends on the kind of history, and just using bands as an example, and maybe we can take that and like extrapolate into wrestling. Like, for example, with Metallica, it's kind of the easiest one because Metallica's more part of music zeitgeist, like popular music zeitgeist, than Dream Theater is. But with Metallica, when I think Metallica, the first thing that goes through my head is the entire album Master of Puppets. And that is a masterpiece. That is a masterwork of not just heavy metal, but just music in general. It has it all. And you think about that, and then you think about Saint Anger, and then Death Magnetic, and then Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Comparatively, like, you look back on that and go, this is what they were, and this is what they are now. Everything evolves. I would have rather had them stop at Load and Reload. And you could even make the argument that they should have stopped even before that. There are a lot of people who say they should have stopped at Master of Puppets.
There's a lot of people that would have argued that they should have stopped either at or just after the Black Album.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Chris Jericho should have stopped after Y2J when he won his like 8th Intercontinental Championship? He's like, all right, I'm out, robbing us. That's the thing, man. Like, I'm gonna counter you on this, and here's why: because you never know what's going to absolutely pop.
No, and you're not wrong, but that then changes to my point. And I said Dream Theater's kind of putting out meh, but that meh is still really good, but it's because the past 3 albums have all been samey. It's like they've plateaued. Like, to me, Metallica with their recent albums is on a downslope. It's basically the 2 separate like sides of it. They're on a downslope. You know what I mean? In my opinion. Like, they have more bell curves. Dream Theater, they kind of went up, they hit, and they're just kind of maintaining. There's no real evolution. There's no real, like, what's the next step? It's just this one kind of uniform idea. And it's the same thing that we've said before. If you have a filet mignon and it's amazing, and then for the next 5 meals you have filet mignon, eventually you get tired of it. Like it's that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I find monotony more unbearable than things just going south. If that makes sense. I might be going off into the weeds here with my train of thought.
No, like, you're not.
Yeah, like monotony is so much more unbearable. It's why it's the same thing of like when people, and this is not currently like my situation, but like I know so many people who they go into work and it's literally the exact same thing every day. And some people are okay with that. They like the consistency, but some people, they just dread it and it becomes like a burden on their lives. Yep. So you want something different. But then in turn, when you have something different all the time, then you can never kind of gain your footing.
Yeah.
Right?
Humans are creatures of habit. Humans don't like change by nature, like not huge shifts of change.
Oh, I fear change.
So,
but I guess then you kind of almost really gave your own answer there, Poot. Like in regards to the wrestling wise, like you even said it, monotony is just kind of too bland for it's too bland for you. So it sounds like Poot would rather have some hot and cold rather than just kind of a steady meh. I
would because then at least whenever you go from cold to hot, there's at least like some like. There's at least emotion fluctuating besides just going moom, and the Attitude Era, I think we could agree, would be one straight line across. It was insane, and there were a lot of good moments, but for the most part, it was just this, schoolyard yuckity yuck, look at these tits, here's a gross joke and some good wrestling. Pretty much the whole way through it.
See, I think the way that I see it, and I think it was made clear to me after listening to what Poot said, is to go with what Beef had asked about, do you want what we had in the Attitude Era where you had Raws and pay-per-views that were great, and then you had Raws and pay-per-views that were just abysmal.
Like all the ones that we get asked to review.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Oh my God.
Nick, coming for you, dude. I would rather have that. And here's my rationale as to why. And I feel like Beef really proved my point on this when he said, you can remember all of the great things that happened in the Attitude Area. Nope. Areola. No, still.
No, there was definitely some areolas.
You can remember all the great things that happened, but you can also remember all of the crappy, stupid things that happened. Beaver Cleaver. You remember those things. Yep. So while there were great and there were really bad, you remembered those. At least I did. But what WWE has now, where it's straight across the board, most of the time it's, I was whelmed. I will forget a lot of the events and a lot of the matches that WWE does now because they're neither memorable for good reasons, nor are they memorable for bad reasons. They're not memorable at all.
It blends.
It does. Some are. I mean, some are memorable for the good and some are memorable from the bad. But I would say the vast majority of what I'm seeing nowadays is across the board, I'm whelmed. And when I'm whelmed, I will forget those things. When I'm very overwhelmed, I'll remember them. When I'm super underwhelmed, I'm still going to remember them. So I would rather have the very hot go to the very cold and then back and forth rather than just have that flat line of meh that WWE is putting out now, because I'm not going to remember them. You ask me 2 years from now what happened at WrestleMania Backlash this year, I guarantee you I'm going to have no idea. No idea. What happened? What was it even called? When was it? I'm not going to know.
Super Bowl Saturday?
Yeah, your shirts are so tight.
I'm gonna finish this here real quick, and I'm gonna go option C. I give to you the Iron Maiden effect. Where you throw out so fucking much that you're gonna have a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of stuff that people like, do I remember this song? Where you hear it once and you're like, wait, that was on a Maiden album in the 80s? Fuck, do I remember that song? And that's honestly
You get the-
kind of where AEW falls with me.
Ooh.
Where there's just so much stuff. I was thinking about this tonight. If AEW puts on an honest-to-God second television show, they'll have Dynamite, TV show number 2, Elevation, Dark Elevation, Being the Elite. There's a lot of All Elite Wrestling. Most of it's great, and I love it, and I can't get enough. But man, like, just sometimes I can be overwhelmed in a bad way. Not like Ransom saying, where like my senses are like, wow, this is incredible. But like sometimes I'm like, holy cow, whoa, wrestling overload.
Sensory overload, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well-
like, and I mean, Iron Maiden's guys made a career of that, and they're by God my second favorite band, and they have a lot of shit that I love. There's a lot of shit that I'm like, I don't care for that, and there's a lot of shit that I'm like, wait, that's a Maiden tune?
Well, do
And I think AEW is the same thing. Like, there's probably a lot of shit on Dark and Elevation that I'm missing because I don't watch it, and I'm like, oh wait, that happened on Elevation? What?
Beef. Here, I'll prove the point. Beef. The song Blood Brothers. What album was it on?
The Dance of Death?
No, Brave New World.
Damn it.
That's exactly. I had to look it up because I thought it was on Dance of Death as well. So his point stands. His point absolutely stands.
Yeah.
But
And I think go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, like, now, you know what? Once we finish it, once we all have our say, I actually have a good music topic when we're done. Like, go ahead.
Oh no, all I was gonna say is like I mentioned before, that you find that in you can find that in all sorts of facets of life, whether it be pro wrestling. You can find that with sports where teams are very lackluster for quite some time, or a particular player is lackluster for a lot of time. You can find that in music. You can find that in video games for sure.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck was it when Ransom mentioned about the different Fallout games or whatever in his one Frig Off Ransom video? Yeah, he said, he's like, you can skip all of them and just play this one and you'd be good to go.
You want to know another series that does that exact same thing?
What's that?
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I love the Assassin's Creed series. I love it. But I tell people, if you're gonna play some, if you play it a little bit and you go, oh, this is cool, I like it, I say play 2, Brotherhood, and Revelation. If you're just if you want the best stories, do that. But if you're only gonna play one of them, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. It's pirate the video game.
And that leads to my option C thing there. That's why Iron Maiden has been so successful, because they put a lot out there. That's why we love AEW, because they put a lot out there. That's why, and here's a hot button for you. That's why the MCU is so successful, because there's a lot out there. Thor 2. So, like,
it's not that bad. I'm sorry. I rewatched it. It's not as bad as
It's not
as bad as you remember. It's not. I just rewatched it. It's not as bad as you remember. Calm down.
That's fair. I have not watched it in probably since it came out. So I can't unequivocally say that it's the pile of crap that we all think it is, but I feel like it's the pile of crap that we all think
it was not. It was definitely not my favorite of all the MCU movies. And to be fair, I never watched the MC. Actually, neither one. I never watched the MCU, The Incredible Hulk, and I never watched its predecessor, The Hulk, because
the Hulk was bad.
The Hulk was
It's not good.
straight up shit.
So bad.
But The Incredible Hulk, I heard, was an improvement with Edward
Is
Norton
that
in it. So
technically MCU?
Yes, because that at the end they had that stinger with Tony meeting General Ross about the Avengers.
Yep.
That's unfortunate.
Dude, Ed Norton, like, he all Ed Norton had to do was say, "Yep, I'm on board." But instead he's like, "Hey man, pay me more. Look at your stars. I'm the biggest star you got." And MCU's like, "Nope. See you later, Ed Norton."
Yeah.
And fucking Mark Ruffalo's laughing all the way to the bank, and Ed Norton's going, "Oh fuck,
Yep.
where are my 2 pennies I need to rub together for heat tonight?" That's obviously not the case, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
laughing all the way to the bank.
well, no, and you know, I think that's kind of the thing is that like, well, and there's, you know, I know we talk a lot about video games too, and we brought up, you know, Fallout and that, but you run into, like, there are some games, like Ransom said, memorable, and I've brought it up before, is Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. Like, that game, there was one of them. It did a lot of neat shit, and it's memorable. People still talk about it on, like, when you see video games lists. Like, when you see lists, like, of, like, games that, like, great games that don't get the credit they deserve, or top blank games for the GameCube, or top blank games from defunct studios or whatever. That game is always at the top of the list because it was memorable. And I worry that if there were more of them, like, because I've wanted, like, them to pick up, someone to pick up that series again and do something with it. But then I think, do I really want that? It's kind of like the movie Fern Gully. I loved that movie when I was a kid. I don't want to rewatch it now as an adult because I don't want to spoil it. I want to leave it in a place in my mind that's, like, happy and joyous and good.
Yep. That's the same way I felt about oh god, what was it? A year or two ago, we watched The Neverending Story.
Yo,
and I forgot, and I'm like,
it's so bad.
This is not that good.
No.
It's
At all. Like, just now, I will say one that's, like, so bad that it's good from around that time, Howard the Duck, which technically falls into the MCU. Technically.
It was MCU before MCU was cool.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. It was the predecessor. Another game series that has so many that you run into that problem. Mega Man.
I don't know about all that, man.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think every Mega Man. So I'm gonna leave the X series out of this because I think X1 was great and the rest of them are all kind of meh.
You can't though.
All right,
you can't because it's all part of the same franchise. But I will say Mega Man 5 was very meh.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, like, every Mega Man game is samey. Like, they're literally all. The only one that stands out in my mind is different is Mega Man 3 was a masterpiece. Mega Man 4, where you didn't have to fight Wily until, surprise, you're fighting Wily at the end. Anyway,
no, I'll tell you what. I think 3 was good, but I think 2 is even better.
2 is better.
Two is probably one of the best. 2 and 2 and X are probably, like, my two of my top favorites. But yeah, like I was gonna say, once you get into the X series, then there's some ones that people are kind of like very, very scary.
Fucking Mega Man Legends game that's like an open world fucking, like, RPG style where he's not wearing a fucking helmet. My brother would play those. That should tell you the kind of game that they were. My fucking Mark Martin would play them. I started playing some Mega Man Legends on stream the one day, and by the end of the stream I was like, all right, we're never picking up this game again.
And that's
it was abysmal. It was.
It was.
And that exactly stands by my point, is that, like, you know, some games, they just kind of get in their own way eventually. And I think it's because I was going to say,
I have a question for you once you finish your statement there.
Well, I think I honestly, that's really just kind of it. I think it's just like some games just tend to get in their own way, and companies go, oh, this is popular, let's get money. And then it's like, oh, it's a Mega Man, people will buy it. Doesn't matter. Mega Man 64. Like, it's like, you know, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people will buy it. They'll just buy it because reasons. And it's
to another degree, even the Final Fantasy series has had that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I didn't know this today, that there was like 20 billion fucking Star Ocean games.
Oh yeah.
Because you came into the stream today and you're like, Star Ocean, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know there was like 14 of them. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, there's a shit ton of them. Like, because I thought you were playing the original, like the one that was on, like, PlayStation 1.
No, I wish, like, because that's I had that one at some point and got rid of it at some point. This was way back when. I don't even remember. I never played it though. I never played any of them until the one I picked up and started playing today. And it's just I had to laugh because I was talking to Andy about it later on today after the fact. She's like, "How was your stream?" And I was like, "It was good." And she's like, "So what type of game is it?" I was like, "Well, it's a JRPG." I was like, "It's an RPG." She's like, "No, but like what genre?" I'm like, "It's a fucking RPG." And she's like, "Well, no, is it like?" She was trying to search for the words, and she's like, "Is it kind of like?" like sci-fi or like this, that. I'm like, I don't know, because I've never played this game and I know nothing about any of the other games in the series.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what's it about? I'm like, I don't fucking know yet. I'm like, I'm on this journey. She's like, well, what if you don't like it? Then I'll fucking stop playing it. That's what. And she's like, well, she's like, I couldn't see me doing that because then I just think it would be a waste of time. I was like, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I was like, trust me. I've had games where I picked it up. There was another one besides Mega Man Legends. There was something else that I played the one time, and I picked it.
WWE 2K20.
I get that. That I stopped playing that. I was just like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I just stopped. God, there was something else. I know I did I know I did request for people at one point, and then people stopped sending requests. So I'm just kind of like, all right, if somebody wants me to play something, they'll ask. If not, I'm not gonna pander for it. Like, I know what I want to play. I have a ton of shit that is on the docket. But like it was just I did a request the one time, and I literally did 3 viewer requests in one stream. They were all old retro games, and I will never play any of them again. It was like like Dick Tracy.
Oh, what a terrible game!
Man,
awful fucking game. Like Rambo something on Sega. I don't remember which Rambo game.
Dude, they were shitting in your mouth, dude.
Yeah, and there was one other
guy named Nick.
No, should have been. Yeah, fucking Nick. Hey, play Dick Tracy and review this fucking terrible episode of Monday Night Raw from 1995 for me, please.
And then after that,
Nick.
Suck my dick. Like,
sure thing, Nick. You fucking cocksucker.
No, like,
won't see me again because I'll be dead after that, because it'll have sucked every single ounce of life out of my body. Who said it, and he set me off, and I'm pacing, waiting for my chance to say something.
Go.
And I'm just fuming.
Go.
Fucking Fallout, damn it. It is like WWE, where it's hot, cold, and meh. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get blowback on this from Beef. I might not, I don't know. Fallout New Vegas is like the WWE Attitude Era knocking it out of the park. I will play that game over and over again. I know where everything is. I know every quest line. I find random things here and there, small little random things each time I play through, because there's so fucking much. But I know what's going to happen. I know where I'm going to go. I know the type of character I'm going to play. But I will play it religiously from start to finish over and over again and enjoy myself. Fallout 3 is the meh. I'll play it. It'll be okay. It's not bad. But at the end of the day, is it the most memorable of the Fallout games? To me, it's not. It's a well put together. Yeah, it's a well put together. It's a good game, but I'm whelmed. Fallout 4, and I incorporate Fallout 76 into the same category because it's essentially the same game, only they did different stuff. I tried. I really gave it a shot. The last time I tried to play Fallout 4, if you watch that stupid video that I made ranting on my dumbass porch, I freaking froze as soon as I went downtown because I have all the mods in the world to try to make the game enjoyable. I uninstalled everything. I'm playing a vanilla Fallout 4 game. I got to Concord, where you have to, it's like the second main quest. You have to rescue the Minutemen right outside of your hometown. I'm like a half an hour into the game. I can't. I put my controller down and I walked away. I'm like, you know what? No, I can't do it. I would much rather fire up that stupid Nintendo Switch and play God-forsaken Super Metroid that I have played countless times from 1993 and have much more fun playing that than I would playing Fallout 4 from 2000 what the hell ever. It's so freaking boring and stale and just abysmal. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to play that game. Modded, vanilla, I can't. I get so bored. Time stands still when I play that game. It's so boring. How do you have a franchise that puts out New Vegas, which is freaking amazing, and then you put out Fallout 4, which is just what I do in the morning when I'm half asleep, and the poo just dribbles out. There's no forcefulness to it because I can't. I'm still half asleep, but my body's like, hey, you got to get this out of here or else you're going to be contaminated. So it just dribbles out. Bloop, 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 just dribbling. It's the dribbling shits.
I think we know the answer to that. It's because Obsidian versus Bethesda. No, okay. So I'll give you a little bit of blowback.
Wait. Before you do, I have a question for Ransom.
Oh.
Do you have any emulators at all?
No.
Okay. If you happen to get one or need one or want one, I have a bunch of ROM hacks of Super Metroid from that I got from Kitsune. I'm actually going to be playing one Saturday. I'm going to start one Saturday morning. So it's going to be Super Metroid, but not the same old Super Metroid. Things are going to be moved around. Stuff's going to be different. So it'll be a whole new adventure, basically. So
the thing that I really want to get into with Super Metroid.
Yes.
The thing that I really want to get into with Super Metroid is the item randomizers.
Yeah.
I watch item randomizer competitions on YouTube all the time with Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
And that just adds an entire new challenge element to the game. The map is still the same, but all the items, major, minor, they're all switched in different places. It makes you think. You have to do hell runs where you have to go into Norfair, into heated rooms without the Various suit.
Yep.
It adds a whole completely new level to that game, and that's the one emulator that I would really love to get into. Beef, blow me back. Wait.
Okay. So
Blow the beef down.
For a long time, I was kind of like a man without a home when it came to video games. People were like, "What do you like to play?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like sometimes sports games, like weird. I always called myself a niche gamer, like weird little niche games. And then I figured out that I'm a survival guy. I love survival games. I don't care if it's set in Fallout, with dinosaurs, with monsters in space. If surviving is part of the game, and I can build, I can have hundreds of hours of fun with it. So, with Fallout 76, I'll give it a pass. I think that particular game was released way too soon, and they fucked up. They fucked up real bad because it was very obviously just a cash grab. That being said, I think that Fallout 4 has its merits. I think that Fallout 4 has a robust world. I think that Fallout 4 does a lot of inventive things, like the power armor. I love the way that the power armor is done in Fallout 4. I think that the weak points, and a lot of the side stories in Fallout 4 are kind of drooly, but I really enjoy the Fallout 4 DLC. I think it's all great, and I think that graphically it's very pleasing. The problem is it's a Bethesda game. Is that it's fucking full of bugs. Like, just it's like in The Wicker Man when they put the fucking bee helmet on Nick Cage.
Not
like,
the pigs!
not the bugs, not the bugs. And I mean, like, representatively, I can go back to Fallout 3. I remember staying up till midnight the night that the Pit DLC came out. Because I'm like, fucking Fallout, Pittsburgh, awesome. That fucking thing crashed harder than fucking Dale Earnhardt, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, my lord.
You cross
Damn.
Betts Bridge, and you see the fucking Pittsburgh skyline. You're like, oh, this is a great crash. You open it back up. All kinds of fucking assets aren't loading. And I'm like, what the hell? And that's when that is when I knew what Bethesda was about. I'm hoping that with their merger with Microsoft, or Microsoft acquisition of Bethesda, maybe we'll get a New Vegas quality game. I don't think no one's gonna argue that New Vegas is a fucking thing of beauty. But here's the problem with New Vegas. Like you said, Ransom, I put so much time into that game. I know where everything is. I know what to talk to all the people. I know where to find everything. I know exactly. It's kind of droll for me. I'm like, you know what? Get me to level, like, whatever, 35, whatever, so I can go to Old World Blues, and so I can punch some Death Claws, and I'm good. Like,
you know.
So, but I'll say this. The first, like, 5 or 6, 8, 10 run-throughs of New Vegas were all kind of different because they all have a little bit of a different way that you can go on them, and then you have like good endings with the way that you can go, the bad endings. So New Vegas, the story for me, like, the map is not that big, but the story, holy fuck, that's what keeps me coming back to New Vegas.
So the issues that you guys have had with Fallout 4 or the Pit DLC or anything, never had any of those problems, never. And this is not me doing the standard soapbox thing of going PC Master Race. Like, listen, there were bugs, but it wasn't stuff that broke the game. It wasn't like when I played Batman Arkham Origins and I was doing the fight to get Disarm Destroy. I was fighting, who was it? Not Taskmaster. Deadshot. Deadshot.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, Deadshot. Kevin Sullivan. I was doing. I was fighting Deadshot.
I can't believe the Taskmaster joke didn't go over.
No, it.
It was a slow burn.
But I was fighting Deadshot, and that when you defeat him, you get the ability Disarm Destroy, which is like super key in those games, in my opinion. And a lot of people have argued with me since then that you don't need it to beat the game. I proved that shit because I got him down to his last little sliver of health, and I punched him, and he went flying through the wall, and he got stuck and didn't die. So I couldn't get to him. He wouldn't come out. Like, so, and the way that Arkham Origins had their quick save was weird. Sometimes you could go in and out of buildings and it would quick save. Sometimes it didn't. So I went, I'll reload the area. I'll leave and I'll restart the fight. So I left. And this is, admittedly, this is when I was still newer and I didn't save all the time. You know, Fallout taught me that. But, like, I left and it quick saved. And I went back in and he was still stuck in the wall. And the fight was where it was. So I had to run through that whole game without Disarm Destroy. And I'll tell you what, that game really leans on the fact at the end, when you're making the final rush to the end of the game, that you're gonna have Disarm Destroy. I made it, but it was a pain in the ass. And I was like, no, I'm never playing this. And there were numerous times where I'd be like gliding and I'd go to like kick an enemy on the ground and I'd just fly straight through the floor. Just into the void, like, and you just keep going and you freeze and you look up behind you and you can see the city just going away into the fog, and like,
Day of reckoning.
And like you would swing and punch, you'd do like combos and you'd hear the impact, but the guy would T-pose, your enemy would T-pose, and you'd stand there and go, so is he dead? And then like 30 seconds later he'd go flying off. Because all of the, you know, like it was a buggy, gross mess. And to me, that game is unexcusable. With the Bethesda game, I know what I'm getting into. It's the same thing with Skyrim. Like, if you if you're getting into those games, they're so big, they're so massive, and there's so much to do, you're going to run into goofy shit. And in my opinion, for the most part, and this is bearing that I didn't have the experience that you guys did with Fallout 4 and the DLC for Fallout 3 and stuff like that. Now, I don't look at those as bugs. I call them features because they usually make me lol.
That's the Bethesda tagline. They're not bugs. They're features.
Look, man, it was
flying backwards.
I never had anything happen that was game breaking to the point where it was like unplayable. It was always like, oh, that's weird. Okay, I guess I'll just reload my last save. But I saved like a compulsive maniac. So like, you know, I
think
so you were able to restart then.
Yes.
Like you were able to fix it because you saved so frequently.
Yes.
I think there were a couple things in Fallout 3 that did that. Fallout 4, I got no one to blame for myself because I had like fucking, I think the total mods you could have was like 4 gigabytes and I have like 3.979 gigabytes. So
yes.
like, there's a lot of shit going on. So, like, I'd come out of a building and I'd hear the and I'm like, well, okay, time to figure out which mod's fucked. And, you know, I'd spend the next 5 hours of my life figuring out which mod. And Brittany's like, you're not even playing the game. And I said, well, shut up. Let me enjoy my game how I want to enjoy it, damn it.
Now,
like,
shut up, you.
I don't want to play with mods. I'm like, well, then you don't play with mods. You go and you enjoy Fallout the way that you're supposed to. Damn it.
It's like when you have a game like something like Cyberpunk or something where you spend like 2.5 hours customizing your character that you never see.
What the fuck?
But God damn it, you gotta customize that character and you gotta spend 2.5 hours. Or like same thing with like WWE 2. Hold on,
pubes on fucking Cyberpunk, and you never see the damn character once.
I was just about to say, like, or it's like WWE 2K20 when you spent all this time fucking making a creative wrestler and so everything's so intricate and then the fucking shit doesn't load for you like during the entrances and it's just like, what the fuck just happened? Why did I waste my time? I didn't even get to start playing the game because I spent fucking half a day customizing a goddamn character or something.
Now, Beef had a good statement earlier. He put his flag in the ground of survival games. You know what I mean? He put his flag in the ground there. If you guys were to say what kind of game, like you say, oh, I'm a survival gamer, like that's like kind of where you again plant your flag. What would you guys say you are?
Ransom, you go first because this is going to take me a minute to think.
It's super easy for me. That's first-person shooter. It can be Old West. It can be space opera. It could be military. It doesn't matter. I love a first-person shooter. And I understand that's broad because you could think of Fallout as a first-person shooter because you see yourself in a first-person view. But those are the games that I like. I don't like third-person view games. If you give me the option to play a third-person view or a first-person view, it's first all the live long day. I have wanted for so long, and I got it many, many years ago with the GameCube. I wanted a first-person shooter Metroid. They gave that to me. Thank you, Nintendo. I've also wanted, probably ever since I played the first-person game that I've ever had, GoldenEye. I've wanted a first-person Zelda. Nintendo, there's no more excuses. None. There's zero excuses. If Bethesda, the buggiest video game manufacturer who ever manufactured a video game, can buggy their way through fucking Elder Scrolls, Nintendo, with all of your Japanese money, yen, you can give me a first-person Zelda. Don't tell me you can't do it. Don't tell me, oh, Zelda's meant to be, third person, so you could see Link, you could see the tunic. I don't want to see his tunic. I don't give a shit about your tunic. I don't give a shit about your green floppy hat. Give me the ability to see a sword and a shield as I would wield the Master Sword in all of my anger and let me cut the shit out of Ganon. Why can't you do that for me? Very angry.
Poots.
I would probably
My heart.
I would probably say that I'm a roguelite gamer. I just seem that whenever I don't know what to play or I have free time, I like them because usually, and I'm talking things like The Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells. Let's see what else. Let me
Cell
actually
games.
look here. Yeah, Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells. I would even kind of put Loop Hero in there, even though it's not really like a roguelike. It kind of is, but it's also deck building, which is a little weird. But it's a lot of fun. Undermine is another really good one. Inside, even though it's Inside and Limbo. I know I'm being very broad with this, but it's those kind of games that are like, because you can sit down and you can spend hours upon hours with them, and every run is different, and every run is new, and every run is like something, you find something different or a different synergy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's always engaging. Like every time you sit down and go, am I going to have a good run or am I going to have a bad run? And it forces you to really learn the game. And plus they're usually challenging, like things like Enter the Gungeon is another good one. Another good example. Yeah. Ransom, you would love Enter the Gungeon. You would love that game.
Is it a gun dungeon? Because sign me up.
It is a gun dungeon. You are trying to get the bullet that can kill time.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's a bullet hell. So, but it's a rogue, like, but it's games that it's like, here's very basic controls. Good luck. And you have to, like, anytime you die in the game, it's never the game cheated you. You are always at fault when you die. Like, and I love that. I love that because the impetus is on you. The game has rules and it goes, here's what we're doing every time. It's on you to get better. And you would think that attitude would extend to things like Dark Souls. It doesn't. I love the lore of Dark Souls. I love the world of Dark Souls. I love the characters, the art style, everything. I fucking hate playing those games. And I have them. And I am dead and determined. Every time that I hate myself, I play Dark Souls and I feel better about myself. Because I'm like, well, at least I'm not playing Dark Souls. Not saying it's a bad game or game series. I'm just saying that it's so hard that when you're done, you're like, well, life's not so bad. So that's probably where I sit. Or games that are an experience, you know, like that you're also in command of, like I'm playing a game called Control right now, and it's like it's the Belko experiment meets H.P. Lovecraft. It's like the right kind of fucked up. Like it's so good. Cuphead's another example. Hades, like stuff like that.
Oh my god. I actually got to the very end of Cuphead and still never beat it. I just stopped.
Dude, you got through the hardest fights in that game. The Satan fight's not nearly as hard as some of the other fights in that game.
No, I'm up. Well, yeah.
Are you on King Dice?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on King Dice. Okay, never mind. I understand.
Yeah, I got to King Dice and I just stopped.
Plus the soundtrack. The other thing is the soundtracks for roguelikes and roguelites are usually bangers. Every single one of them has a banger soundtrack. Go on, Beef. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good. It's gotten such to the point with survival games for me where, like, there are games that I pick up and they don't have a creative player, or they have a very shallow creative, like actually like visually creative player. I'm like, that fucking sucks. I'm out. Like, I'm done. It could be the best game in the world. If I can't make my character look how I want him to look, fuck it. I'm out. It's gotten to the point now where it's like, if I can't pick up this game and make some sort of a fucking base for myself, I'm out. Like, I'm not interested. That's like, I played fucking Minecraft forever, which is like almost, I don't want to say the first survival game, but in a lot of ways it kind of was. Where like you have to like fend off creatures, you have to survive, you have to eat, you have to fucking build shit. So like it's gotten to the point where it's like, listen, if I can't at least have some sort of semblance of control over how at least like one base in one part of the game looks, I'm out.
That's fair. I can
I-
understand that.
But like, okay. Anyway, Tom, what's your answer before I ask Beef a question that's going to probably piss him off? Tom, what's your answer?
No, go ahead. Piss him off.
No. It's going to be an ordeal, Tom. I want to hear your answer first.
I would say it's hard for me because I really am a variety kind of player. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for, and I like to mix things up. But at the heart, I would say if you had to generalize it, I'd say an adventure / story type of game. I need something. I either need to have a good mixture of action and puzzles, to make me think, or I have to have a really good storyline to keep me engaged, like, because like survival horror at its essence is, can be considered like an adventure. Like I love because I don't want to say just survival horror, and I don't want to copy Beef and say survival. Like, I mean, like The Last of Us 1 and 2 were fucking masterpieces of games, and I love those. But then you look into like a survival horror, like, anything like the Resident Evil series, there's that. Fatal Frame, fucking phenomenal story, just fucked up
Bad
stuff.
gameplay, though.
Yeah. It's not the best. Which one did you play?
It was one that was on. I think it was on Xbox. Was it on Xbox? I can't remember. I just remember playing a Fatal Frame game and being frustrated as fuck by the controls.
There's your problem, Fishbulb. Oh, I'm a master racer. Oh, damn.
Listen here. Calm down. Calm down there. Calm down there. I got the buggy glitches yeah. I didn't have to worry about.
Guess what? I got that on Xbox.
Anyways.
Hey, I want to say this real quick, Tom. Are you familiar with Skyrim?
I played it and I didn't get far, and then I never continued playing it.
So I've been on this Super Metroid kick as of recently, watching these randomizer tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I will say this for the PC Master Race, because damn it all, if I didn't look on the mods list for Skyrim on the Xbox and it was not there, somebody straight up modded Skyrim to where every dragon is a version of Ridley.
That's awesome.
Some were straight up, like some dragons were straight up Ridley, some were meta Ridley. One was like Omega Ridley from Prime 3.
Yeah.
It looked super badass, and I got real mad because I don't game on the PC. I just game on stupid Xbox and Switch. And nope, that mod is definitely not in the mod list on Xbox. And I got very sad.
But yeah, I'd say if anything comes down to me, it comes down to having a good adventure / storyline. The like Super Metroid, it's a good adventure game. You explore a lot. Legend of Zelda, you explored a lot. Plus, it has a decent little storyline to it, depending on which game you're playing.
Yeah,
well, and I think I think that that's the mark of a great game, is that it can make you genre bend.
Yeah.
Like Legend of Zelda. I'll play pretty much any Legend of Zelda game. I don't care what the style is. Like, I'm into it. If it's a great, or like even I'll say this, Call of Duty, like Black Ops, great game. I hate it because I'm awful at it, but man, what a fun game. Halo's a fucking blast playing.
Dude, I'll tell you what, probably one of the most complete games and complete series of games that mixes good storytelling, action, and just exploring and some puzzles. God of War, hands down, one of the best series ever. I mean, just the Greek mythology and everything, that's phenomenal in itself. The way that they incorporated all the Greek mythology into the first 3 games, and the
I've
other.
never played any of those, but I've heard
Dude.
wonderful things.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
my
all
God,
they're
so-
PlayStation exclusive. Now that I have a PS4, I may actually go back and try to
You
jump on
should.
the God of War bandwagon.
You really
I'm-
really
I'm-
should.
I'm,
Honestly,
I'm a big
like,
Greek mythology guy. Like that was I was an English teacher. That was my gig. Like I love
Even-
doing the Greek mythology stuff.
like okay, so God of War 1, 2, and 3 were all awesome. Even the ones that were on PSP that you ended up getting eventually is like the God of War Saga collection. It was Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta. Those were actually both pretty decent too. And then God of War 4, or just God of War again, because they just couldn't put the 4 in there for some reason. I don't know why, but whatever. God of War 4 on PS4 was awesome with the switch over from the Greek to the Norse mythology. So good. I cannot wait for God of War 5. I can't wait.
Will you please get to the point where you piss beef off? I'm waiting for that.
All right. So here's my thing. I gotta ask, man. Now I will preface this. I will preface this with the fact that I completely understand modding a game to where it's quality of life stuff. Like, for example, in The Binding of Isaac, you had, before they made it a standard thing, and mods can be good because they can influence the actual game. Like, the creator can go, oh, that's a great idea, let's add that in the next update. You know what I mean? And hell, Binding of Isaac Repentance just dropped. There was a whole DLC called Binding of Isaac Anti-Birth that came out. And these people they made a whole new path. They made new bosses, like 300 plus new items, and it all worked, and it was all really good, and it fit the art style. It felt like it fit in the game. So Edmund McMillan hired them and said, let's make this official. And they worked together, and thus we got Binding of Isaac Repentance, which is basically an official version of Anti-Birth. And so I get it. I can understand and see, oh, this is awesome that this happens, and mods can be a really good thing. However, I do not understand modding a game to hell and back to where it's just unrecognizable. I will not ever understand that. And I understand wanting to tailor an experience to yourself, but that's the thing, is you run into problems like the game just going, the fuck do I do with all this nonsense? You know what I mean? And it crashes. And in my opinion, and this is where the argument will start, or beef will get mad at me, or maybe a little bit of both. In my opinion, two things. The game, and you usually do this to your credit, you should enjoy the vanilla version of the game, and then upon subsequent playthroughs go, okay, let's see what ifs. Like for me, Skyrim, never had a desire to mod Skyrim. I loved it the way it was. I had no desire to mod Skyrim, none. Fallouts, never really had a desire to mod Fallouts. I can understand some of the cool, changing colors of lasers or stuff like that. That's fine. But games like modding them to the inch of their life, it completely is just to me, I'm like, why though? I don't get it. And the other thing is too, then if you do that, you lose the ability to bitch about a game not working. You lose that ability because you have basically reprogrammed the whole game. And if the core source code of it doesn't know what to do with it and it crashes all the time, then you can't complain.
No, I'm listen, Poot. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to fight you. You're 100% correct, because once you take that step, once you start downloading shit, you are then saying, okay, this is on me. If shit goes wrong, and I'm fucking 400 hours into the game, and I hit a game-breaking glitch, that's what you sign up for. So yes, you can experience super highs, you can experience super lows. So here's how I treat mods. I treat mods like expansions on the game. I will play the vanilla game. In some cases, minus like QOL stuff, like in Cyberpunk, for example. One of the first things I did was find a mod where I can change my appearance. Because again, by God, you put a fucking hour at the beginning of the game customizing every fucking freckle on your damn body. It's not quite that in depth, but you can fucking customize a lot.
How big did you make your dong?
I didn't. That's weird. I tend to like shy away from that kind of thing on video games.
So the size of a pencil.
Yeah.
Long and thin.
I just default.
Block of
Anyway,
cheese, short and wide.
the point here
5-pack
is
of
that,
Skull.
like you put so much time in it, and then you like you never see your character. So first things first, third person mod, where I can like switch back and forth. Second is where you spend so much time altering your person, you can never change your fucking appearance. Not your hair, not your fucking hair color. You can change your clothes, but that's it. And it's like, what the fuck? No. So that was the second thing I did. Outside of like quality of life mods like that, yes, you play the game straight through. You play it as it's intended. You can play a second time to get a different storyline. You can play a third time. But eventually, that shit wears out. At least for me. Obviously, Ransom's on playthrough like 2,577 of New Vegas.
Yes.
But like for me, like that shit gets real old, and I'm like, okay, I know this is here, this is okay. So how do I fix that? Well, what if I add some new enemies, and I download a mod for that, or what? And honestly, a lot of the mods I download too are like expansion on like customization mods, either like expanding how my character looks, acts, wields weapons, clothing, or building. Like those are the biggest mods I have are building mods, because it's like, hey, the game does a great job supplying me with X, Y, and Z, but you know what? Like maybe in the middle of my desolate fucking wasteland, like if I'm some fucking king, if I am a god of the wasteland, if I am a wasteland god, I'm not gonna be living in some fucking aluminum shack. Hell no. I'm gonna get people to bring me the fucking finest lumber and glass and metal from fucking hours away, so that I can build a fucking monument to myself, so that I can sit in my fucking ivory tower and be like, that's right, bitches, the fucking man has come back in town.
I just feel like that there's
10 penny.
10 penny, yeah. Well, no, like I feel like I don't know, maybe it's because maybe it's just different mentalities. Like when I went into Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you know, I never, like, I like the idea of having, even if you do control everything and you are the king of the castle, a monster truck that walks like a man, you know what I mean? Like you're still at the behest of the world around you. To me, that creates an immersive experience, because despite all your power, despite all your efforts, despite all your ruling with an iron fist, that doesn't change the flow of time and the way the world is. You can't impact it that hard. To me, it still is like, that's the acceptance of like, this is the world we're in. You know what I mean?
Finite.
It's finite.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. And like I said, it's not for everybody. I'm trying to fuck, it's been a long time.
I got a question for Poot.
Vortex. Oh, go ahead.
Poot, you never had the urge in Skyrim to mod the dragons to look like Macho Man Randy Savage and go, oh yeah.
No,
like
because that would infinitely annoy the fuck out of me. Like
that's the first thing I did,
dude. Like I saw videos of it. It made me lol, and I was done. Like I did not need. Like I think it's because when I play a game like that, I want the immersion of the world. And if all of a sudden I hear macho's coming, like I'm like that pulls me out of it. Like I think maybe it's because I want That's why I loved Breath of the Wild so much. When I played that game, I felt like I could sink into it. I could forget everything else. I could forget, if people like the noise of the world and just be. And that's why I didn't have the issue that the soundtrack was so minimal, because I thought that was going to be a problem for me because I love music in video games.
Right.
And
obviously.
And
yeah,
it's that, like, but it was that sparseness, that fact that it was so minimal.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something. One mod that I've seen that actually made a survival horror game scarier was for the Resident Evil 2 remake. Whenever they modded Mr. X to be Thomas the Train, seeing that motherfucker coming around the corner is way scarier than Mr. X.
That's fair.
By God.
Well, no, and I'm not saying I'm completely against mods.
I'm with you on it. Like, I mean, if I'm playing a game, I want to be immersed. I want to, I'm all in on it.
It's
I'm investing my yeah, it is honestly. Or it's if it's not an immersion into the world of the video game, it's a concentrated effort on improving performance, like literally. Okay, so perfect example, whenever I did my Mega Man X run this week, which by the way is currently the best run.
Number one.
Not many people have run this week, but the one other guy that's in the league, he's not in my division, thankfully. He's in a whole nother conference, but notwithstanding, he runs Mega Man. He speed runs Mega Man X a lot. He didn't even finish the game. He got up to like Sigma 3 and died like 3 or 5 times in a row. And by all accounts, if he would have not died, he would have actually beaten the game like by like a good 6 to 7 minutes faster than me. But he didn't.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, all right. So technically, as of right now, best run of the week. But again, so like, I'm familiar with that game. I like it. I run it over and over again. And usually whenever I do it, I do like 100% run on it, like, get the Hadouken and everything. Ooh. But for this case, only having the hour time limit, I was like, well, that might be a little hard. Let's just try not to backtrack. And it literally went from like beating the game in like an hour and 15 minutes or so to like beating it in an hour and like 5 minutes, and then like an hour 3 minutes, and just making fine tunes to that. So if I don't have a game where it's like I'm not immersing myself in the world of Mega Man X, like let's be real, it's a platformer, whatever. But for me on that one, then it's a matter of, okay, like how can I do this part a little bit better? How can I get a little bit faster here? How can I do whatever better? I enjoy that as well too. So I feel you on that,
we just giving a time checking game. We are at about an hour and a half.
Right.
But just general knowledge. And that's the thing is, like I said, it is with a game that I have beaten to death, like absolutely beaten to death, and done everything and seen experienced everything that game has to offer. Before I put it away on the shelf until I get dewy-eyed and want to do it again, I generally will go, all right, let's see what weird bullshit we can do. You know what I mean? Well, I will do that.
So I think that you maybe think that I play games differently with mods. I don't like there aren't sandworms coming out of the Capital Wasteland. Like I don't have fucking like Sasquatch running around. It's all very much in the same vein of the game. It's just like, for example, I think I downloaded a mod for I don't remember the Sephiroth sword from Final Fantasy VII in Fallout 3. Like, is that canon? Or not Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Is that canon? No. But, like, does it fit with a lot of the fucking weird shit in Fallout 4? Yep. Like, Fallout is a series based on, like, weird shit. Like, it's based upon, obviously, the apocalypse. But then, like, weird fucking, like, little tinges of, like, Alien and, like, Outer Limits, shit like that. So, like, the Macho Man Dragon mod, for example. Like, I same thing. I got some lulls I never downloaded for myself because that is, like, immersion breaking. But, like, I mostly with mods, for me anyway, I do a lot of quality of life stuff, a lot of, like, graphical enhancements, a lot of, like, hey, make my follower better, make my follower not so shitty, like, things that people are like, hey, the developer should have done this and they didn't. Nothing that's, like, terribly, like, out of sorts,
No, and that's fair, but, like, it's when you get into mods that, like, give you infinite blank, or, like, not you, I mean the royal you, the editorial. Like, it's when people go, like,
when you're just playing God mode, like,
yeah, and to me, like, that's what a lot of people do, is they just get boring with it, and I'm like, to me, that's not exciting, that's not interesting, that's not immersive. It's just faffery. Like, it's not fun.
Well, it depends on what you want to do. If you're in those games wanting to build, wanting to make settlements, wanting to, and again, I'm leaning on Fallout 4 because that's what the most I've modded, really. If you're in those games to make awesome fucking settlements, like, you don't give a fuck about creatures coming at you, you want it so that you can basically one punch anything. I get that. And again, like, I think you said this a little bit ago, you got to tailor make the game for you. You have to pick what you love about the game and amplify that.
I'll tell you one thing that pisses me off. Not so much mods, but one thing that really pisses me off about games, especially nowadays, is being able to buy your way through the game. And I say that in regards to, like, how back
microtransactions.
Yep. Here we go. I'm gonna sound like the old crusty man. Back in my day, you actually had to play through the game to discover secrets and this and that, and cool Easter eggs. Now, you can buy something. I have no problem with, like, loot crates if it's something that, like, doesn't give you a distinct advantage over somebody else who doesn't buy whatever, said item X, Y, or Z in order to beat the game. Like, it'd be like, if you're, I don't know if this exists or not because I don't play Call of Duty, but, like, say if you're playing Call of Duty and, somebody was able to buy a gun that was, like, the God gun or whatever, and it, like, fucking one shot killed you every single time they hit you, versus, like, you're stuck with even the best version of whatever guns you have that are, part of the game that you didn't actually have to spend real life money on. I think that's some bullshit. Or, something like that, if whatever you buy, like I said, gets you through the game easier, like, significantly, like, just makes it, basically, makes you, like, God mode or whatever. I think that's bullshit. I hate that. I hate microtransactions like that, and it's just, it sucks the fun out of gaming for me, and it makes it, like, it makes me think that developers and stuff will continue to make games like this and tailor it to those people that do shit like that, and instead of actually making a game worthwhile for everybody else.
They're going to continuously make money off of it.
Let me put a caveat on that. I agree to a point. If we're talking strictly, like, PvP, yeah, no fucking loot crates, no fucking loot boxes, no fucking, like, pay to win. If we're talking PvE, I'm even sketchy on that. But
does Fallout 76 have that?
Fallout 76 is very PvP light, because it, the community the community quickly found out that you can be dickwads and embraced that immediately. So they kind of nerfed it. You can still PvP, but it's very kind of hands off with PvP.
No, I mean like microtransactions.
Micro
yes and no.
machines.
And here's what I mean by that. And here's where I kind of am getting with this point. I think if you are offering something up that you can get with like hundreds of hours of grinding, that's not going to like give you a competitive advantage against anybody else in the game, fuck it. If you want to sell that shit, for example, I'll go old school here. GTA 5 online shark cards, pretty much the first microtransaction, like. And GTA is rough because, I mean, pretty much even vehicles will give you a competitive advantage. But, I mean, realistically, like, you're not doing anything that's going to absolutely, like, a pay-to-win button. If you're eliminating hundreds of hours of grinding to do something, fuck it, man. It's their money. Let them live. With Fallout, for example, and I hate going back to Fallout because I put a lot of fucking hours in the Fallout series.
You don't say. Cue the Nicolas Cage. You don't say.
76, I put a fucking, like, I played 76 for pretty much a year straight, and that's all I played. They had a thing where you could be Fallout First members, which is you pay a monthly subscription fee, and with that, you get so many of their atoms, which is something you can use in a microtransaction store to buy stuff that's not in, out in the game world, and it's pretty much all I don't say graphical, basically like skins, building supplies for your camps, things like that. Nothing that's going to be like a god button against any other player, or any other like thing in the game. You still have to compete with other players to like at the events. It just makes you look prettier.
Right. No, I'm with I'm with you on it. Like that's basically was my point. Like I don't want a pay to win button. Like I'll give you a perfect example. Don't ask me how I got into this. I'm not usually one that gets into mobile games, but I was playing Golf Clash for a while on mobile, and it was definitely like you could get so far before like you were almost forced to buy stuff to actually be able to keep up with competing with people. And we had there were like different guilds and stuff that you could join or whatever, like different big golf groups, and you had you could basically compete against other groups and stuff like that. So you had like I think like 30 people in your group, and you would have like there would be like weekly tournaments or whatever and stuff like that, and you would get more items and stuff like that and whatever, depending on how well your team did and stuff. But the game made it almost to a point where it's like if you didn't buy these special balls that reduced like wind speed, and if you didn't buy this particular club or whatever, that it made it so fucking near impossible to be able to play through some of the holes that you were screwed and you were destined to lose. That's the shit that I don't like. Like that's what I'm saying.
That's honestly like, and I think that developers get that with like, and forgive me because I'm a guy who's accepting of all gamers, including mobile gamers, but I think developers of real video games really haven't gone that route where they're giving an I win button for PvP and PvE.
That's what I'm saying though. I worry that the way I see shifting of things, that it's a slippery slope that people could go down to that, because I swear to God, every fucking mobile game, this is gonna be my rant. Every fucking mobile game is the same thing.
Yep.
Like all the ones I see advertised, they're all like Candy Crush. It doesn't matter which variation of Candy Crush or fucking Dragon's Escapade. It's all a fucking game of columns. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. Match 3 in a row. Yeah, that's all it is. I hate it. I fucking hate it.
Well,
or the ones where they trick you into something where it's like, oh hey, like check this out. Can you solve this puzzle? And then you get to that, and then it's like, nope, it's Candy Crush fucking variation number 645,000. It's the same fucking thing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Well, and I think that goes, but the thing is that's not, in my opinion, that's not gaming. That's people tapping into the mental part of a person that like it's the same thing as gambling. Like, you know, it's that instant gratification and that like quick dopamine dump that you get from like that's why loot crates are so addictive, and that's why people buy the fuck out of loot crates.
Yep,
like,
that's exactly it.
It absolutely is. And that's a problem, is that those mobile games, and I'm even guilty of it. I haven't paid for it, but it's a game called Cookie Clicker. And it is arguably the dumbest game in the world. Like, if you have it's, I don't know if it's available on the iTunes store, but I know it's on Android. Just do yourself a favor and download it. You will download it and you'll do exactly what I did. You'll be like, man, this is the dumbest thing. Whoever told me about it is stupid. Why would I ever play this? And then you're micromanaging octillions of cookies that you're baking at one time. And you're trying to just do yourself a favor and check it out. It's called Cookie Clicker. But it gives you that instant gratification in that, like, well, if I just get a couple more, then I can buy this thing to make me bake cookies faster. And then I'll do, but it gives you that like instant kind of gratification, but it still pulls you along enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
that, like,
there was one I was playing for a little bit. I don't know what it was. Every once in a while I would find, like, I would see a mobile ad and I'm like, oh, like I saw like some sort of zombie survival game on mobile. It was kind of more like it was like zombie survival meets fucking almost like what?
Candy Crush?
No. God, I'm trying to think. Like your basic type of simulator thing, you know, like you have to kind of almost like a Command and Conquer, Farmville sort of, you know, one of those.
Right.
You know. But I played it for a little. What's that?
Real-time strategy.
Yeah. Thank you. I was losing the words there. Yeah, something like that. I had that for a little while, and then it was getting to the point where I was like, no, like it wants me to sink money into it, and I'm not gonna. Or fucking what else was there? Oh, there was one Sniper Elite on mobile. It's like, oh yeah, like if I just buy this pack of gems, I could upgrade this and be done with it faster. It's like, no, just wait the fucking 4 or 5 hours for the cooldown. Just don't waste your money.
Yeah,
please.
Like and that's kind of the thing, is that it makes you go like, well, how can I make this happen faster so you can get that dopamine dump thing?
Yep.
And that's why that's why I like roguelikes so much, is because it's all on you.
You know who's responsible for all the pay to play stuff, the freemium stuff?
What?
The Canadian Devil.
Oh, the Canadian Devil.
Watch that episode of South Park if you haven't already.
That's a funny episode. That's a really funny episode. Well, and
Beelzebub.
I know I'm Beelzebub. The I know I'm doing like a whiplash hard change here, and I know we are getting long in the tooth, to turn a phrase, but I was thinking about, like, talking about like music and video games and stuff like that. I was thinking about it today, and I watch a lot of YouTube channels that are like musicologists that are reacting to music that they wouldn't normally react to, that are like hearing either like, there's a fella, I think it's the
I was gonna say the one like voice instructor that listens to Sound of Silence as she's like kind of breaking down like his voice and everything like that when he does that. Yes, but she was the one who kind of got me into that genre, and I just saw her and I was like, ooh, hot musicologist.
but her analysis is really good. And the best thing is when she's never heard a song before and then she hears like someone's voice and she's just stunned by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're like her, and then there's this guy, I can't remember his YouTube channel's name right now. But he's a classical composer, and he reacts to like a lot of heavy metal stuff. Like he did Blood Brothers by Iron Maiden from when they did Rock in Rio. And he like breaks down just by listening. He's like, oh yeah, this is in G minor. Now it's going to this. Now. But he like talks about it, and it kind of like, it's interesting. And then he was doing, before we started this recording, I was listening to him. He was reacting to the Devin Townsend project. He was reacting to the song. Actually, let me pull it up because I had Failure, the song Failure by Devin Townsend Band or Devin Townsend Project. And it's, first of all, it's one of those things. You ever have that time where like you'll listen, you'll like forget about a song and then you run into it that way and you go, oh yeah, what a good song. And then all of a sudden for 2 weeks, all you listen to is that band.
Yeah.
That happens to me once a year with Coheed and Cambria.
I just did that over this weekend with Him.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. What album?
I kind of bounce between a few. I'll do I'm trying to remember, Dark Light, Razorblade Romance, Love Metal, and I can't remember what other one I like because there's like a few songs that I really, really like off of a couple different albums.
Right.
Like off of Dark Light, I like, Vampire, Rip Out the Wings of a Butterfly.
Yeah.
And then like off of one of the other ones, I like Buried Alive by Love. What the fuck else is there? Beyond Redemption. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. I definitely do that. Yeah.
Well, like and I know it was kind of like a hard turn away from video games, but it was just something that I wanted to talk about because like, dude, there's so much good stuff out there that like you listen to, and like, I was going through because I decided to join the 21st century and get unlimited data. So I got I got Spotify. And so I'm just like constantly going like, oh, I'm going to listen to Gamma Ray. I'm going to go back and listen to Fozzie's shitty old discography. I'm going to listen to like, and then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, I have all this music that I've actually bought on my phone. And I was going through and I was looking at the music that I have and I was like, oh man, I have like the band Tear and Rivers of Nile. I have the album The Violent Sleep by Meshuggah. Like I was just kind of going back through and being like, man, I haven't listened to this stuff in forever. And
listen, about once every 6 months or so, my girlfriend and I, we'll be looking for something to listen to in the car. And it's just one of these things. It's a palate cleanser for us because it makes us appreciate all the good music we do listen to.
Right.
But we'll go back and we'll throw on Insane Clown Posse.
No.
Just because. Now, granted, I'll be sitting there and I know the words and I'm rapping along to the shit from the Great Malenko and Riddlebox albums. But man, when we really sit back and reflect on it, it's just like, this really wasn't that good.
No.
Like, at all. Like, I don't know. It's just, but it happens about once every 6 months or so. It's like, hey, let's put on some ICP. Why not?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I still haven't joined the 21st century and gotten Spotify, but to be fair, I have literally like over 10,000 songs on my iPod. So well, and that's the thing is that like, like I don't like supporting Spotify because they royally fuck over the artists. There's actually a movement in Europe right now. Like there's a lot of like big name artists that are going like, no, Spotify's bullshit. If people buy our records, we get 50% of royalties. But from Spotify, they get like a fraction of a fraction of that. Like
is it going to be like is it going to be like this generation's like Napster movement?
Well, kind of, but it's what they're not trying to get rid of Spotify, because things like Spotify and iTunes and whatever streaming service, Amazon Music or whatever, they're trying to get copyright and royalty laws, or like those laws changed so that Spotify actually benefits the artist. What was I can't remember the stat, but it was like, you remember the song Happy by Pharrell Williams, Beef Ransom? You guys remember that song?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was everywhere. And it was played like millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of times on Spotify, and Pharrell saw like $7,000.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing, is that, like, and I was drunkenly waxing on this idea with my bass player and singer from Hellbent. Chris, my singer, is 50, and Matt is 42. And so, like, Chris grew up, like, he was a teenager when the 80s happened. You know what I mean? Like, he was in the thick of it. Now, obviously, he was living in Clearfield, but like but still, it was like, that was like pop culture at the time. It was new, it was exciting, and bands were getting signed and making all this crazy money. And there's a part of that old guard, especially Scott Ian from Anthrax. He said, like, oh, they just don't want to get out there and road dog it like we used to. Nah, that's not the case. It's that like there's a pop artist in England right now. She's like, I feel bad. I should probably write these names down and try and remember, but she like had like an album that has won awards, and like, she's an up and coming artist, and her album has been played, thousands upon thousands of times on Spotify, and it's been purchased and stuff. And because of the way that record companies run things, she had to move back in with her parents because she quit her job to pursue this. And she has all this success, if you look at the numbers, but she's not getting the money for it.
Right.
And it's a tragedy, man.
No, I'm with you on that. One thing that you made me that jumped into my mind, I don't know if you're gonna get a chance to watch it or anybody else will. I think it's gonna be on Amazon Prime Video. But at the end of the month, there's gonna be a documentary Dave Grohl is doing. It's just kind of about
Sound City?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's the documentary. It's going to be like him and a whole bunch of other different musicians and stuff like that, talking about like the days of getting out on the road, like just playing music in your garage with your band, and then getting out in a fucking old shitty beat up van and going and hitting the roads and stuff like that. And
I'm all in. Message me and let me know what it is, and I'll make sure to take a look at it. But I'll stop waxing on this, because it's obviously something that I'm very passionate about. Is the support of the arts, especially as we move forward into the future. But
so here's the thing, though. I'm gonna counter argument here.
Uh-oh.
I think that Spotify is a great thing.
It is, but they should be paid and compensated, though.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah.
You're not gonna win this argument, Beef, but I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it, though.
You know what, though? Like, I I got a bad time feeling bad for millionaires trying to make more money. Music is a gift. I'm a fairly pious fellow, and I think that if you are musically inclined, you either work your ass off to be musically inclined, or you have that innate ability. In some cases, both. In a lot of cases, both. But, like, I think that music should be universally shared. I think that, and here's the other part of it, man. CDs and cassettes, I'm dating myself here, were, they were going up in price like fucking cigarettes, man. Like, okay, you want me to pay $10 for an album? Cool. You want me to pay $15, $19, $25 for a double album? I'm out. Like, I get it. And again, I'm gonna quote Lebowski for the second week in a row. I'm gonna throw a fucking a Jackie Treehorn quote at you here. 100. It's wave of the future, dude. 100% digital. Like, that's the medium, man. Like, that's how people get their names out. That's how people hear shit now. Is with Spotify. I agree that there isn't like that like the CEOs of Spotify shouldn't be sitting in all this cash, but at the same time, so I think that's probably a middle ground because Spotify is a wonderful thing, just like Netflix, where you can experience a lot for a little, and everybody can really appreciate it because music isn't meant to be for the rich. Movies, television isn't meant to be for the rich. Everybody should be able to enjoy it, man, and that's why Spotify, Netflix, these things are great things. Like, yeah, I'm sure somebody's losing their bottom line, but it's done so much better for the world, at least our little corner of the world, anyway.
All right, I'm sorry, Tom and Ransom. Give me a second.
Ooh, okay.
All right, I gotta stretch for this one. Beef, you're absolutely right that music should be shared with everyone. It is how information has been exchanged over time. And matter of fact, you said music isn't for the ultra wealthy. Until the Renaissance period, it was. There was a huge divide between sacred music and secular music. And secular music generally was music that was written for the aristocracy. I mean, the Baroque period, primarily, all the music was basically, it was a rich person saying, oh yes, I had this commissioned by who, whatever composer you want to throw out there. If you want to say Bach, if you want to say whoever, you can go ahead and throw it out there. But it wasn't until the Renaissance, whenever the doors broke down. And I think I've told you guys this before. There was even a divide in the instruments. The trombone at one point was considered a sacred instrument. Matter of fact, it wasn't called the trombone. It was called the sackbut. So the sackbut was only allowed to be played in a sacred setting, in the church. Like, and music there was a divide. Like there was it was kept away from people who were lower. And any music that was done kind of amateur, on an amateur level. But then whenever music all of a sudden became available to everybody, it was a way that information was transferred. It was a way for people to make political statements with operas and things like that. And then, as technology went, yes. And I understand it sounds like I'm making your point for you, but here's the thing. When you say that music should be available for everyone, you're absolutely right. Everybody should have access to music, but you cannot expect artists to always work for free. That attitude is completely asinine. I'm sorry. That attitude that like, you should just be given these things that people put literally their blood, sweat, tears, time, sacrifice, their time away from their families, away from their friends, the stress that it puts on them with their jobs. You can't do that. Now, I will say this. This has forced the hand of artists to think outside the box of how to make the life they want. For example, Kurt Ballou from Converge, I believe it was Kurt Ballou, he started a guitar company, and it's massively popular. And that's another way for them to have income. They start streaming. They start their own record labels and release their music on their own. They use a lot of things like that. So, but the thing is, you shouldn't be forced into working, 2 day jobs and then also going out and touring, or expected to be like, no, you can't go out and do this when you have the opportunity. Or if a record company comes to you and says, okay, we're going to sign you to a 3-album deal. We own all your music, and, we own all your music, and we're going to give you $500,000 to record your first album, but you have to pay all that back. There's so many artists that go out there and they record an album, and they'll go out and tour, and they'll open for bigger bands, and they'll get paid nothing, and have to be in a van. And I'm not saying it's a poor thing. A lot of them have a lot of fun with it. And a lot of them are like, we're living the dream. But they get a per diem of like $10 a day. And then at the end of the tour, they walk away with like $1,500. You know, how do you live on that? Like, how do you survive that? And now you're locked into a deal where you have to do 2 more albums that might not get promotion. And then the record company might go, okay, we're done. We're severing the deal. You don't have to give us the 3rd album. But guess what? You still owe us $300,000. Like, that's wrong. And then on top of that, you run into the issue. You said, you know, millionaires making more money. I agree. Millionaires should not be making, like, they shouldn't have to worry about it because they can pretty much ride, you know, their name and their royalties. And if things go bad, you can just go on another world tour. But what about the person who's putting out their first solo album? What about that person? And it's like you're relying on these things that are there, like Spotify and Amazon Prime and whatever. Theoretically, if you have a song that's a hit and it goes viral and it gets played, you know, 2.5 million times, and you're getting a check for $75 versus a check for $7,500, you know, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people should be paid accordingly. I mean, I agree,
and that's why I said, Poot, is that there's like a middle ground, I think, where, you know, Spotify doesn't win, and we're not putting a ton of money with the artist, but like people are still paying what's fair and reasonable. Everybody's getting reasonable paid. You know, there's got to be a middle ground.
No, and there does have to be a compromise. I mean, because honestly, when it comes down to it, yeah, you know, if people want to be assholes about it and look down on the arts, and it's like, oh, well, you know, you're gonna pay all these people to do something, you know, that isn't like that demanding. It's like, well, let's see you go out and learn the fucking guitar. Let's see you go out and learn to, you know, play the drums, or learn to do this or learn to do that. How many people do you know, if you've gone out to the bar and been at a karaoke night, that you see people get up there and get on the microphone and you're like, oh fuck.
Well,
like,
dude,
and you know it's just gonna be nails on a fucking chalkboard, out of sync, out of rhythm, out of tune, fucking like. And I get it. That's fucking amateur night at the
local bar,
at the local dive bar and stuff. But you get some people at the fucking local dive bar that can actually fucking carry a tune. You know, like,
dude,
that's you know,
the biggest thing, and I'll use on a microcosm, dude. I have heard countless stories from guys around here who used to play in bar bands in the late 80s and through the 90s and even up till the early 2000s. And understandably, we've had the advent of, you know, streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, the cock, and things, the cack, and things like that, which give you entertainment for cheaper at your whim. But they tell a story, so like, oh yeah, we'd play here at night, and we'd play for 3 or 4 hours, and we'd get paid, you know, $1,800. That's in 1993 money. You know what I mean? Like, you, theoretically, if you were in a successful bar band and you were gigging 2 nights a week and you had 4 guys in the band, you didn't have to have another job if you didn't want. Theoretically, back then. Like, and the amount they were getting paid. And then when we started gigging, we had to do gigs for free, as you do. That's something that's always been, to get your foot in the door. But then places will go, okay, we'll get, you know, you'll play for the door. So you have to draw people in, and you do your damnedest to get people there. But if it's cold, or if it's raining, or if it's snowing, you play to a house of 11 people and you've collected $55. Like, that sucks. Some places there's no guarantee until you get a name, and even then the guarantee, you're not walking away with a crazy amount of money. You're walking away with like beer money, or enough to, like, you know, maybe pay for like gas and then a meal. Like,
I know what you mean, because the couple of karaoke DJs I ran around with for a little bit after I got back home, like, Yeah, they like I forget how much they got paid per night. It wasn't a crazy amount, but I mean it was basically like they got paid, whatever, and then plus like they got a free drink. Like that was it. So
now I will climb down off my soapbox and stop ranting because I know it's exhausting. But there are things where it's like, hey, while you play, you get your drinks for free. And I'm like, great. I still have to drive myself home. Like, so that's cool. I'll have a beer or two. But like, I still have to put on a show for you. Like, and it depends on how in demand you are. I mean,
right.
I don't know. It's frustrating because when you're, it's not nearly as viable to be an artist as it was even 20 years ago. It's just not. Like, and that's weird because people consume art all the time. Like,
absolutely,
all the time. Like TV, just for God's sake, TV shows and movies. That's art.
Yep.
People, schools are de-emphasizing the arts and like, that's insanity to me. But then again, I'm biased. So, I'm sure if I was a biologist, I'd be like, well, they need to take money away from those arts and put it in the sciences. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I think that's something I'm kind of glad where I'm at now, like where we the school district that the kids go in and stuff like that. It's it's pretty balanced. It's you look at some schools and like one school may have like the best choir and marching band, but their football program is the drizzling shits. Then you go to another school district and it's vice versa. Then you go to some schools and they're pretty well balanced all around. So at least they're doing something right there. But
the band is shit and the football team is shit. Go Clarion.
Go Lock Haven.
Can we put on
the
can we put on the title for this episode like Breaking Kayfabe, like video games, wrestling, and save the arts?
I was just gonna
save the arts.
I was gonna put soapboxing. That's what I was gonna call it.
So like I'm gonna chime in here real quick.
Yeah.
And I guess this question's more leaned towards Poot than anything else. Like the bar bands, you were saying like how you don't get paid a whole big bunch of money. You get a couple drinks for free. That's not really like a viable income. But don't you know that going into it? You
do, but
like it's not a secret, right?
No, well, it depends because I know there are bands around here that get paid substantially more than us. And that's not complaining because we generally make about $100 a guy. That's take home, about $100 a guy, which is nothing to sneeze at. In general, like I said, to just put away.
That's some saving or some spending.
Because we all have day jobs. Chris is an accountant. Clayton's a welder. I'm going to be a banker. And Matt,
banker.
Richie's going to college and he's the head chef at that place that we ate back when we went to IWC, the 120 Pub and Grub. He's the head chef there. Like, we all have day jobs. So it's not like we're doing this trying to scrape together, rent money or anything like that. But it's just more the fact that it's like, if you draw a crowd and you draw money for, like, think about it this way, put it in perspective this way. If you think about the balance, we're putting in 4 hours of work, and that's not including getting there early, setting up, sound checking, all the rehearsal that we have to do, the time that we spend on our own, making sure that we're learning new songs. So it's never just the same old thing every time. And then buying the equipment and getting a sound guy and travel and all those things. And let's say you go to a bar, and luckily we work with bars that are really good to us. We are lucky. Like, we're lucky that we work with bars that are pretty good. We've never had to deal with, like, squeeze the money we agreed on, like, getting them. Like, bars are usually great with us. So, but like, think about it this way. We charge at the end of it all we charge $800 to play a gig, right? And that's paying the sound guy too, right? Paying the sound guy.
Right.
Effectively, we're bringing our own sound, so they're renting our sound system, like those kind of things. So let's just say $800. The bar, we bring people in, people are ready to party. That bar that night makes $7,000 in food, booze, at the door, whatever.
Right.
Ratios. Like, I'm not saying we should get paid $7,000. Not at all. Not even close. But like, I go like, it'd just be nice if the ratio was not so extreme.
So yeah, like, I do get that to a point, but I guess when I think of like a broader business aspect of it, like, yeah, you guys, you had to practice, you had to take your stuff with you, you have to set up, you have your sound people. But the people that own the bar, they've got probably a lot more shit that they have to worry about and contend with.
Well, no, and
like they are paying presumably rent or mortgage. They're paying all the bills. They're paying for food. They're paying staff.
No.
So I kind of see where it's like, yeah, like you guys do have this ecosystem that you're in, and you have this service that you're providing, but the bar has a bigger ecosystem and is providing a bigger service. So yeah, they're going to take more money. Like they're going to make more money off of that than the band playing. Like, and I almost equate that, and maybe this is the wrong way to equate it, but this is just where my brain goes. That's kind of like equating it to like a fast food worker and a project manager for a construction company. Like, yeah, the fast food worker goes in every day, they put their uniform on, they work their hours, but they're putting together fast food. A construction manager is responsible for millions of dollars, responsible for coordinating so many groups of people, and is responsible for like a much bigger bubble, building a building, getting permits, working with money, working with engineers, architects, contractors, keeping things on schedule to complete a project. Like that's their project. The fast food workers' project is to put a food product together and get it out the door. Yes, the fast food worker is going to be paid a lot less because they're dealing with a lot less than the construction manager who is dealing with a huge amount of money and a big giant ass project. And so yeah, there's going to be a big divide there between those people.
I hear what you're saying, and that's why I said I understand they have to pay their bartenders, they have to pay their electric bill, they have to pay all those things. And I'm not sitting up here in my tower saying you should pay the glorious artist, $66,000 to come and play. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that over time, it's gone the opposite direction, because like back in the day, we'll say $20. Okay. Would you agree with me if I said right now, $20 today is a world of difference from $20 in 1994?
Yes.
It's a world of difference,
Absolutely.
right? Now, back then, bands were getting paid more number-wise. Let's say a band that has a good reputation and always brings a crowd and all those things, they're getting paid, we'll say, $1,600 in 1994 money. Right? Okay?
Yep.
Why has it gone the opposite direction? As inflation has occurred, the price of entertainment has gone down. Taking into account what I said earlier, that people are, you can sit down and you can watch cheap trick at the Budokan on YouTube for free. You know what I mean? You can watch Led Zeppelin live in whenever for free. Like you can take in more media now.
Yes.
But it's still the point that like that ratio has gone the opposite direction. Now, understandably, prices of food, drink, staff, rent, property taxes, liability, insurance, those things have gone up as well. I get that. But it just seems to me that the steep drop-off is more drastic than theoretically it should have been. And
well, to be fair, Poot, you're looking at it like, 1 + 2 is 3, which is correct. But, and you just kind of put an entire mouthful there at the end of your sentence. What you're looking at is more of a calculus, algebraic equation with lots of coefficients, lots of fucking variables. Like, it's not just a simple, well, money's gone up. And I get it, man. Like, I 100% understand. And the other side of it is, I think that location.
You'd be surprised on that one.
And I think that it's about, not to be too frank with it, but knowing your own worth. If you feel like your band is worth more than $800 a night, then you start demanding $1,200 a night.
And the thing, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
You're good.
But like
you're good.
It's the thing is, I don't want this to be sour grapes. I'm very grateful for what we make.
Not at all. Yeah,
like,
it's a discussion.
Yeah, but like it's just the fact that like, and part of the problem is within the performers. It doesn't matter what kind of bands or solo artists or whatever, what have you. It's in that ecosystem too, because you run into the problem of competition where, an established band might be saying, oh, we want $1,400 to perform, right? A guarantee of $1,400. But then you have, 7 other bands that were put together that went, oh, we'll play for $300, or, oh, we'll play for just the door, or, oh, we'll play for free. You know what I mean? Like, and the problem is you have to get to the point where, yeah, you do your first couple gigs for free to get your name out there and get a good reputation. But then you have to take the step of going, okay, let's clear enough to travel to the gig. So you say, we'll do it for $200. Then you say, we'll do it for $200 plus the door. Then, okay, we got into all this, sound equipment. We got to pay our sound guy. We got lights. We have all that production. We need $500 plus the door. Like it's that slow workup. And what's the ceiling on that? Like, what is it? Just the ceiling where people will stop booking you because you're asking for too much money? Is that the ceiling? Is it the ceiling of like, oh, we've seen them a million times. Even if they draw a crowd, we don't want them here. Like, what's the ceiling there?
I think it's whatever the venue is willing to pay you. Like if you can continue to ask for more and justify why, and that venue says, all right, fair enough, you got a good point. You make a clear argument as to why we should be paying you more, we'll pay you more.
I think,
you reach the point to where I think the venue will go, well, that's not really a good enough argument. We'll pay the same as before. And then you either decide to take that or you take your services elsewhere.
To piggyback, I think it has to do with what the industry is allowing too, and the economy and everything else. And again, that's kind of why I went down to location, because, a bar in Pittsburgh is going to be more likely to pay more than a bar in Clearfield. That's just, socioeconomics.
You would think that, but I know it's weird. Here, we don't have a problem getting booked, and not just in our immediate local area, but like the surrounding areas and further. We don't have a problem. Now, I know bands in bigger areas have a huge problem getting booked. And if they do get booked, they get offered like $100. You'd be surprised. I know it sounds like you're sitting there and you're going, well, that doesn't make any sense. I know that. That's part of the problem.
Now, listen, I think, too, another big issue is that, like, if you look back in the early 1990s or whatever, where did you go to hear new music? You would go to a bar, you'd see a local band play to hear new music. Like, oh, that's nice. You know, like, if they're selling an album, I'll buy an album. Never heard them before. New band, I like their music. I'll buy their stuff. With the advent of technology and the way technology has gone, the market has been saturated with music and art that you don't have to go anywhere to get to experience. I don't have to go to a bar to hear a new band. Any Tom, Dick, or Sally can throw a garage band together, record something, a video or audio, slap it up on iTunes, slap it up on Spotify, slap it up on YouTube, and there's a whole big world of new artists, new music that you had never experienced before at the touch of your fingertips. You don't have to leave your couch. So, I mean, I think, like, yeah, technology is great, but again, it's a double-edged sword, because I'm not going to local bars to experience new music or to hear new bands, you know, or to say, like, hey, this new band was awesome, I'm going to buy their stuff. Because people are putting that stuff online for free to get exposure, and I'm able to consume that for free.
Well, and that's and this is part of the thing where you get into the discussion of experience and the capacity in which you consume art, because we're bombarded constantly by art. There was an argument that we talked about, and I know we do have to wrap up here soon. I'm sorry, guys. I'm absolutely grandstanding, and I'm sorry, but like,
yes,
it's how one consumes art, because we're so bombarded with visual stimuli, audio stimuli, and you know, kind of going back to the Loot Crate thing we were talking about before, that kind of thing. It's almost like you're not impressed, because you're like, well, I could have done this at home and I didn't have to drive, you know, 20 minutes to a bar, or I didn't have to leave the house. But like, it goes to the point that, like, what's the difference between sitting on your couch listlessly and watching and consuming something versus getting up, going out, and feel like there is such a difference. And I think anyone who's been to a live concert or seen a really good local band, even if they're just a cover band, experiencing it firsthand versus experiencing it through your television, there's a difference, you know.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing, is like, at that point, how do you want to consume it? And it like, are you willing to go out and see it and feel it versus watching it on TV? Now, I'm not saying it can be a bad experience watching it on TV. Like, one of my favorite things to watch is Dream Theater at the Budokan, and it's a wonderful show. But like, going and seeing a band is a whole different can of worms. Going and seeing a comedian in person is a whole different thing.
Yes.
And
you're not wrong.
You know,
but it boils down also to convenience. And I'm strictly using this as an example. This isn't a slight to you or anybody. This is just, it's a easy example for me. So please don't take offense. But it's so much more convenient for me, who lives where I do. It's a 2.5 hour drive to Clearfield. So to find a babysitter overnight for my 2 children, the drive to Clearfield, either a hotel room or a 2.5 hour drive back after a night of live music to see Hellbent. Or if it's like, hey man, I want to see my buddy perform.
Hold on, did Beef fall asleep?
Nope, I think it's Tom.
Tom?
Tom's out.
Tom's out. Oh, that's fantastic.
Like it's a matter of convenience, though. Like I would love to come to Clearfield to see Hellbent, but if you were like, hey man, we rocked out this show, it was awesome, we played all these great tunes. If I could find that online, like on YouTube, if you guys posted that on YouTube or whatever, the convenience factor for me to be like, hey, my kids are in bed, Tara's working or in bed or playing Fallout or whatever, I want to check out my buddy's band. It's easy for me to fire that bastard up on YouTube just as a convenience factor. Now, I know I'm not getting the full experience of the show, but at the same time, I'm still consuming that music and that art in such a convenient way for me. The snoring. Can you mute him?
I'll try. I can, absolutely. Okay, I'll go ahead and mute him. Hold on. Let me mute
Poor
him.
sleepy old bear,
he's
Tom.
muted.
That's the title of this episode. Tom fell asleep.
Yep, Sleepy Bear.
Pittsburgh Piledriverpodcast, Breaking Kayfabe Lounge. Tom fell asleep.
Tom fell asleep. No, and
I would love to be able to go to a local bar and support my friends in person. And it would be a hell of a lot easier if we lived closer to each other. So it's no slight to you where you live and where I live. It sucks that we live so far apart.
Well, it does, and I'm not trying to stop your point, but like it's not even just me. I mean, just in general, like, you know, I try and tell my friends in Pittsburgh, I'm like, dude, go see Pixelated. Now, understandably, the drive from Butler to Pittsburgh is a little bit bigger than people would think, but it's, and yeah, finding a babysitter and things like that is hard. And I will always invite my friends if they can make it to a show. And we're playing around here. If they do want to make the trip, then more power to you. But I don't expect people to do that for my classic heavy metal bar band. I don't. But it's just more the overarching point that I'm trying to make is that like going out and consuming media or not consuming media, consuming art in any form, whether it's going to a museum or going to hear a poet or a comedian, or going to see a band, you know, or going to
a live experience, like you said, it's far and wide a much different experience to see whatever you're seeing. Like you said, comedian, band, it doesn't matter. Seeing them live is a much different experience.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing, is that's why, and you don't have to worry about offending me. I have heard like, and it's just more the fact that I know, and it's hard to make arguments because I know I'm biased. You know what I mean? I'm absolutely biased.
Well, it's hard not to be. You're the one producing the art.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean? I'm not. I don't produce shit.
You do.
So it's easy, you know, it's easier for you to be on that side of the coin because you put all that. Well, listen, the time and effort that I put into my stupid little dumb YouTube channel pales in comparison to the amount of time, effort that you put in. Like, I don't have to practice anything. I go out on my porch, rant like a psychopath for a half an hour, go in, edit for an hour, post, done. You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing compared to the practicing, the setup, the tear down, the playing. You know, so it's there's no shame in being biased about it.
I want to see if Tom's still sleepy, boy.
I put him on server mute.
Oh, you put him on server mute? Okay.
Yep.
Damn it. I kind of wanted to end the podcast with just his snoring. No, and
well, speaking of ending, we probably should wrap up. We have been.
I mean,
oh yeah, we've been on it.
Nothing gives you the sign to end your podcast, and 25% of it snoring while the others are recording.
All right, let's see if we can't get. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this Breaking Kayfabe Lounge. It's been long. I'm sorry I jumped on my pedestal. I am the Barbarian Poot the Bard. He is Ransom the Madman. That is Beef the Legend. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with the dulcet tones of our very own Tiger Bomb Tom.
Where is he?
Come on, little guy. You can do it. There he is.
There it was.
Yep. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Shh. Quiet. Don't wake Tom.
He's sleeping.
He's sleepy, boy. Wait for it.
Oh, my Lord.